back to another More Bros episode. I don't really make many solo videos. So today I'm going to be teaching you what you're going to need to make your own soft plastic fishing lures. I don't use, trying to think how to explain it. You don't need everything that they say you do. The price is actually quite expensive, or quite cheaper than some people make it out to be. So all you need a mold. Now this is a 5-inch Senko mold, Gary Yamamoto 5-inch Senko mold. $35. You can find molds for $30. I mean, you can find single injection, like where it only makes one lure at a time. For cheaper, I recommend going in and spending the $35 on this. Then with your mold, you're gonna need a clamp of some kind. I have this carpenter's clamp or carpenter's vise. It's not for beating on stuff like a regular vise is. Like a regular vise is made for beating on stuff. This is made for like cutting wood or something, so it's perfect for this. You can find these at Harbor Freight. It just kind of bolts onto your table. And then you can use a traditional clamp like an Irwin Quick Grip. I do not recommend these. These are some of the worst clamps you will ever use. This style right here. What I recommend if you're going to get an Irwin clamp, I recommend getting this one. I know it's a little big. But once you get this thing clamped down, you could hold a table together if you actually want. Like I could hold this whole tabletop down with 3 of these. Now, do I think if I was somebody that was going to buy a clamp, I would probably buy 2 of those. One on the bottom, one on the top. But I didn't buy those clamps. I just had them. And most of this stuff, if you have a garage and you ever do anything in it, you will have most of the stuff in your garage or in your house. I just use this little carpenter's clamp. It's easier. And it just makes things 10 times easier. So you literally just do this, pull it out, open it, close it, do this, kind of loosen it a little bit more, tighten it right back up. Then the next thing you're going to need is an injector. You can find this on Amazon for $30. Just look for, I cannot remember the brand of this one. You don't have to go out and buy the $50 one from Tackle Warehouse. I recommend buying, if it's your first time, you never made them before, just buy the $30 one off Amazon. Just make sure you buy the 100 milliliter one, the 120 milliliter one, because I bought one that was a 45 milliliter, and it turned out this tiny. It'll fill up the mold, but there will be air bubbles in the Senkos. You don't want that at all, and you'll just have to ream up and down. So make sure to buy the 120 milliliter one. Now you come with 2 O-rings, so if they ever wear out. A tip to keep your injector performing correctly, you are going here. Also, when you're making baits, this is how you do it. This is how you get this part off to clean out all the old plastics off. You just kind of got to hit it out a little bit. Here, I got a hammer over here. Like hit it out. Came out. Here's where the 2 O-rings go. So if your injector gets a little hard to pull out, what I did, I figured this out on my own. I got a WD-40 and I sprayed too much down in there. So you're gonna want to go out to your yard. If you accidentally spray too much in there, just 2 squirts, WD-40, not very much, and just kind of work it back and forth. And if you put too much, just kind of push it out, then just kind of work it back and forth. And then what you want to do, right here, if this part if it's still not doing good, get some gun oil. This is Hoppy's 9 oil. This right here. You take it, you just kind of spray it right here, and you just kind of work it back and forth. Then it should be doing good. And then if you want your cap to go back on real good, just kind of put this little gun oil around the O-ring. And if you do this every week, depending on how much you're making baits. If you make, I would say every 10 batches, every 10 rounds of that, spray some. You can go longer, but if you want it to last you forever, I would do that personally if I was you. That's what you need for your injector. Then, of course, you're going to need either plastisol or old ripped baits. I prefer using old ripped baits, cheaper than plastic salt. I think if you start making money from, if you're not going to sell them, don't even mess with plastic salt. It's a waste of your money if you're not going to sell them. And if you're going to sell baits, I say, here's my advice to you. Get started with remelting, and then you make enough money. Make enough money on remelt to where you can buy all the glitters, dyes, and plastic salt. At this point in my bait making career that me and Harper have started, we have not quite made enough money to buy the plastic salt and the glitters. And I would say try to save your money up for that if you're going to sell it. That's for selling. Now, if you're just doing it for a hobby, remelt, there's no point in even actually having the plastic salt. I personally don't think there is. You can have your own opinions on that. Then you're going to need a microwave. I had this microwave. It was an old one that we had in our garage. Plugged it in, worked just fine. You're going to want to make sure it works, though. For your microwave, you're going to have to have a Pyrex container, too. And you're going to put your remelt, you're either going to put your old baits and remelt them, or you're going to put your plastic salt in there. If you're using plastic salt, put your dye in there first. And then put in the microwave, do a 1 minute partials. Once you get to 350, which to measure that, you are going to want a laser thermometer. Hold it, pull the trigger, let off. My container right now is somehow 81 degrees, my body heat, I guess. I'm holding the handle. So you're going to want this, about $22, I think, on Amazon. You're also going to want a butter knife to, especially if you're doing remelt. If you're using plastic salt, not so much, but you're still going to want to stir it when you put the glitter in. Which on the plastic salt, you put the glitter in last, if you're wondering. You'll stir the remelts up, and if you don't feel there's any more chunks of soft plastics in there, you will make sure it's 350 though. Do not make sure the lowest you want to be at is like 345 and the highest is 360. I have injected them at 400 before because it got too hot. Do not do that. They will not turn out. Try to stay around 350, 360, 340. No more, nowhere. So then, nowhere, out of that range. So then, when you're ready to put in your mold, make sure you got your clamps on there. You're gonna want to whoop, and you want to hurry and come over. Do that. So you're thinking, how do you not burn your hands? You are going to want, I don't really know how much these work as my dad's. You're going to want some welding gloves to protect you from the heat on the cup, and the injector, when you're stirring it with the butter knife. You don't have to have them on when you're stirring with the butter knife, but I recommend it to keep you from burning your hands. You're also going to want salt. Salt, you will not have to use as much with remelts as you will with plastic salt. On the remelts, you put a little bit because you just want them to sink a little bit more. Do not put too much salt. Salt is a hardener, basically, and if you put too much salt, your baits will come out concrete. I did that one time. So I would recommend with remelts putting, just kind of sprinkling a little bit in there, not very much at all, or you're going to screw the whole batch. So then, when you get your baits done, you're going to want, a little bowl full of cold water. Put your baits in there. I go anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. I would say more towards the 30-minute mark. Get them out, put them on a paper towel, let them dry. Once they dry, put them in the bag. I use quart Ziploc bags so far. I'm thinking about getting some different bags. I don't really know. Then when I put them in there, I spray some of this Bait Mate Classic Bass. It's $5 at Walmart. It makes the plastics have the gooey feel like a pack of young crawls would have. Like when I pull these out of the bag, they're gooey. It just makes it have that feeling, and it attracts bass. So you're not going to go wrong if you don't put it in there, because Senkos are literally, or any kind of soft plastic, is action. Smells don't matter on anything. The feel of anything don't matter. The action is key for anything. So, you don't have to buy this. I just did. So, that's basically all you need to make soft plastics. Here is some of the ones I've made. I recommend having a good table. This is 54 by 24. I recommend having a table bigger, not any smaller. this is the perfect size. I would not go any smaller than this. If you go any smaller than this, your microwave's gonna take up way too much room, and you're not gonna be able to have any workspace. So you just need to go off the size of your microwave, which is what I did. If you have a smaller microwave or a bigger microwave, just according to the size you have in your garage or wherever you're working and the size of your microwave, the two main things you need to go off of. And then you need to factor in where you're going to put your thermometers. If you want to hang them on the wall, go for it. I just haven't. I have a shoebox. Shoeboxes work perfect to put all this stuff in, and you can sit it on top of your microwave. On top of your microwave, takes away of all the space that was taken up on your bench. And that's basically all you need to make soft plastic lures. And if you want to sell them, I recommend buying a label maker. I already had one. Buy a label maker and just put it on the bag of what the type, the color, like right here. These are a white and black flake Senko. So on here I have white and black flake 5-inch Senko. Just so people really, so they're not like, if you take a picture of the bag, it just makes it easier for people to remember. So like, say if somebody that fished a tournament bought my lures, and they're fishing tournament, and they don't want a 4-inch, they don't want a 6-inch Senko, they want their 5-inch white and black flake Senko, because that's what's worked in the past. And they accidentally pull out, because they just didn't see the label, and they accidentally pull out a white 4-inch Senko. Well, then they're screwed, because that's not what they wanted, of course. I mean, it's spending more time to dig, costing them time, and they're going to lose the tournament. With the label on there, it just makes it easier. Then go 5-inch white and black flake Senko, pull it out, get their lure, text rigger, whack rigger, whatever the heck they're doing, and ready to go. And that's what I recommend personally for making baits. Also, on your mold, you're also going to take this gun oil, and where it says oil here, you just want to squirt some down in these little holes, and squirt 2 drops in each hole. Every time you lube your injector, lube your mold too, just to make sure it stays top-notch condition working. So that's what I recommend if you're going to start making fishing lures. I have $50. I have $70 invested in this, and I've made $28. So that's what I recommend for making soft plastic lures, and I'll catch you all back on another video.